Welcome to Grit for Life Radio. I am your host, Nate Parks. I'm the founder for Grit for Life. And if you are not familiar with what Grit for Life is about, GRIT stands for Getting Ready and Training for Life. And you can find us right here on Spreaker or Spotify. You can also find us on Instagram. And we have a Facebook group that most of our stuff's run through. It's found underneath the same name, Grit for Life. And we're all about having you take control of your life and motivating the mind, building the body, and searching the soul. And we do that in so many different aspects, and this podcast is actually one of them. If you are familiar with Grit for Life, then you probably have heard me say numerous times my life motto or mantra. It's something that I say. In fact, I've said it so many times that my kids, actually I can start saying it, my kids can finish the saying, and that is, your response is your responsibility. And I've said this so many times, and I say this a lot when I do my Grit for Life speaking, when we do the videos. I've even started putting it I'm on TikTok, and I use it a lot with my TikTok videos, that sometimes I forget that I think it speaks and resonates to people, but I'm not sure if you really understand the power and why I've made it the mantra. See, if you don't have a life mantra, then you should find one. Because a life mantra is something you can repeat to yourself in good times and bad times, and it gives you that focus. It realigns you. It sets you back on track, and it's something that should mean something to you, something powerful, something impactful. And I honestly can't tell you how long I've used this, and I really can't even tell you where it came from or how I came about it. I can just tell you that it has literally become such an impactful statement in my life. And what do I mean by your response is your responsibility? Or if I make it personal, my response is my responsibility. What does that mean? Why is it so powerful? Well, you see, if you will really take a look and break that statement down, it can change your outlook on life. It can change how you respond to things. It can change what you do. When you're going into something, you can say, my response is my responsibility. And I'm going to give you some examples that hopefully today can be an impact, and then break it down even further to be able to help you see that it can be a tool for success. Have you ever been in a position where you are face to face with a conflict? Maybe it's with your spouse, maybe it's with an ex, maybe it's with a significant other, your children, maybe it's a place, something with going on at work, that you're in conflict. You're facing it. You're about to have an argument. Someone's attacking you. Maybe they're belittling you. And let me ask you, let's just pick one of those. Let's say it is a coworker, and that coworker is coming at you, and they're putting you down, and they're belittling you. Maybe it's a significant other. Maybe it's that spouse or that ex or whatever, and they're just trashing you. And they're coming at you, and they're stirring the pot, and you feel it. Boy, you want to crack your neck, your fists are clenched, your jaw is set, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you've been beat down so many times that you feel it coming on, you recognize it, you know what's about to come, you've been here before, and you're feeling deflated. You feel like you have no control, no power. Well, that is the beauty of understanding your response is your responsibility. When was the last time that you got into an argument or a conflict with somebody and you were able, you attacking back, you arguing back, you arguing your position, you yelling, you're getting your blood pressure up, your face is turning red, jaws clenched, like I said. When was the last time that you did that made actually a change in the situation? Think about it. Usually, if we attack back, if we clench our jaw and come back full force with a full-fledged argument and our blood pressure rises, there's only one thing it really accomplishes. One, it amps up the situation. And two, it gets us angry. It affects our health. It affects our mental well-being. It affects everything about us, and not necessarily does anything to change the person that we are retorting back at. And I have learned that when someone begins to come at me, and I think about that mantra of, man, my response is my responsibility. You see, someone could say anything they want to you. That's on them. That's 100% on them. They have to own that. Whether they own it or not, you can't control it because that's their responsibility. Your responsibility is how you react to something. And if you are able to take that power and embrace that and understand, okay, you can yell at me, you can belittle me, you can attack me, but I know my worth. I know my self-worth. I know my power. I know my strength. I know what I'm good at. I know my talents or whatever it is. And guess what? You don't get to take that from me because it's mine. And I'm not going to respond back to you. I've had numerous, in fact, I've had people that I've been in relationships with who love to argue. They love to belittle. They're narcissists. They love to come and attack and try to put me down. But when I embraced that understanding of who I am, then my response becomes my responsibility. And if I just respond back with something such as, okay, you know what? That's how you feel. That is yours. The words that's coming out of your mouth is yours. I don't raise my voice. My blood pressure doesn't get up because I know my worth. And I just say, all right, we're done. I took control of the situation. And I didn't allow my response to make it bigger or blow up because it's not going to resolve anything. It's not going to change anything. That's something, people in politics today, I think, could learn that. So many times I see, especially on social media, where people argue back and forth, and they will post their arguments back and forth. And guess what? At the end of the day, at the end of that post, at the end of those few moments, neither of them have changed their views, but they're both now aggravated, angry, blown up, blocking people, and it's just blown up. It's just gotten bigger than what it needed to be. Where if one of the people in that argument or that conversation would have taken control of their own emotions and said, you know what? My response is my responsibility. I'm not going to continue this. I get to have that power. And see, that's what it's about. When you understand for a few things. One, your self-worth. You are valuable. You are unique. You were placed on this earth for a sole purpose that only you can fill, and that person coming at you, attacking you or belittling you or tearing down something that you have done or whatever it is, doesn't have control over that. They can't take that from you unless you give it up. Then you can walk away with a smile on your face and go, I'm not even going to respond to that. And in that, your response now is your responsibility. The same with arguing. If you blow up, you own that. If you attack someone yourself, you own that. And the beauty of understanding that is when we can own our emotions, when we take responsibility for how we react to a certain situation, whether verbal or nonverbal, whether positive or negative, when we take the responsibility, we now own that. When we own it, we can own our failures and our successes. And when you have taken the possession of either of those things, it empowers you to make change. And that empowerment is something that nobody can take away. They can try, but again, come at me. Come at me, bro. Attack me. Verbally onslaught me. But guess what? My response is my responsibility. I own this conversation. I'm not going to respond back because it's not going to change your view of me. And guess what? Your view of me has nothing to do with my self-worth because I know how much I'm worth. I will look in the mirror and I can tell you my mistakes. I own them. I can tell you my successes because also I own them. So, shh. Nothing you say is going to change it. I am taking control of this with my response. And my response is going to be to walk away, or my response is to edify and to lift you up if it's a positive situation. Or my response is I can feel my blood pressure building up and something upset me and maybe my kids aren't listening and I can get ready and I'm about to blow and I'm about to yell at them, but all of a sudden dad's got to remember, crap, my response is my responsibility. If I yell at my kids, I blow up at my kids, what have I taught them? I've taught them it's okay to blow up at somebody. I've taught them that when you get angry and upset, you get to blow up and yell and scream and cuss and all that. And so now I've passed that shortcoming on to them. And whose responsibility was that? It was mine. Or I can teach them how to control their emotions because they watch dad as he says, you know what? We're going to take a time out right now. Why? Because my response is my responsibility. And I'm not going to allow this situation to get out of hand. That's my responsibility. Can't control what you do. Can't control what you think. Can't control what you say. What you think, what you say, what you do to me doesn't matter, because when we can understand that we have the power and the control of what we do, then we can literally create our own destiny. I just lost my job. I mean, I really didn't, but let's say I just lost my job. Okay, my response to that is my responsibility. I can kick, I can scream, I can slam doors as I walk out and tell them that they just made the biggest mistake of their lives. Guess what that's going to do? It's not going to get me my job back. And all it did is it just aggravated me even more. When was the last time that you actually flipped someone off? Let's say you're driving and someone cuts you off and you flip them off. I see it all the time. I laugh. People will flip, I'll be driving, someone gets mad or something I do and they'll flip me off. And I just laugh because I'm like, really? What change did that create? Your blood pressure's raised now. You're even angrier. You're not fully satisfied by flipping me off because it didn't resolve anything. And I'm back here just living my life in control of my destiny because I didn't flip you off. I didn't road rage you. I didn't ride up on your bumper after you flipped me off, because my response is my responsibility. And I get to choose my destiny. I get to choose what is success for me. I get to plan. So back to the job. You get fired. You walk out there and you go, you know what? That sucks. Now, understandably, you have some emotion attached to it. But when you understand that your response in that emotion is your responsibility, you get to control it. You know what? That sucks. It really sucks. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills. But I can get mad and get aggravated, and that clouds my mind. It clouds my judgment, and I can't make decisions now that can set me forward. Or I can walk out of there, go, dang, that sucks. Don't know what I'm going to do. But my response is my responsibility. So guess what I'm going to do now? I'm going to go home. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to start planning out the future. I'm going to keep a cool head, because a cool head wins battles. And guess what? That job didn't define me. And guess what? I'm going to go out and I'm going to relearn something. I'm going to go back to school, or I'm going to start my own business, or I'm going to do something where I can come back and say, you know what? You fired me and that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because now I'm more successful than I could have ever been with your company. But that's because I controlled my response. So I challenge you today. I challenge you. I want you to start really thinking about, be purposeful in your actions. Take responsibility for your failures, but also your success. Because when you can own that responsibility to your responses, you now own your world. You now control your world, and nobody can take that away unless you allow it, because your response, my friend, is your responsibility.